We're shaking, people. Back with another reaction, back with some more ABBA. Back from more from the 1981 album The Visitors. And the next tune is One of Us. It certainly suggests the presence of multiple people. I'm inclined to think two, but what I've, been thinking about the last few days is over the course of their albums, certainly the last couple, and it seems like maybe this one in particular, given not only what I've already heard, but what people have talked about, and the way that maybe Benny and Bjorn were moving toward a more theatrical form of music, or like at least that's where their ideas were heading at this point. It makes me think that even if we are on a literal or superficial level talking about two people or a relationship, I realize songs certainly at this point could have allegorical or figurative meanings that exceed the literal meanings of the words in question. So ultimately it's a song or a title that makes me think about maybe an asymmetry in a relationship, the idea, well, one of us, has to change, or one of us has an issue that has to be dealt with. Now, even in that context, it could be like, we'll get through this together, but, one of us seems to suggest that there's some characteristic, some process, or some designation that is not applicable to all who might be present or involved in whatever dynamic it is, but just a specific person. So, again, whether that's literally on an individual scale or whether that phrasing is used to get at larger scale issues remains to be seen. But yeah, it seems to differentiate between one person and any number of others, though again, I'm inclined to think two, whether that's more literal or figurative. So I'll stop babbling and we'll listen. This is ABBA. The tune is One of Us, and it's from the 1981 album The Visitors. folk music. It's interesting. It's like we heard one of us in a number of contexts. One of us had to go. One of us is lying and crying. One of us is lonely and waiting for a call. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure like which way that's facing. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like you could. I have no doubt that this could be applied on a metaphorical level, but it felt maybe more on the literal level. It felt maybe about a relationship, but one in which like, you know, there's been a divergence or like there had to be a severing, like one had to go. But I'm not quite sure again which way that's facing, like toward the narrator or away from. But yeah, it's an interesting composition. It had this like almost like carnival type of like marching feel, like there was a bit of jubilance to the rhythm and it was just bouncing through, but it had that low like rapid fire bass line. It had, you know, a flute sounding synth and some other sweeping sort of like string sounding synths up top, so it had like some different dimensions, but yeah, ultimately it's one where it seemed to mix sonics that were a bit buoyant with, again, a theme that like someone's lying and someone's crying and staring at the ceiling, which, you know, that's a line I've heard in some different songs over the years in some different genres, and it's, you know, I feel like for a lot of people it's immediately understandable. It's, you know, when you're worried or you're upset or you're, you know, feeling heartbroken and you can't really think about anything else and you can't bring yourself to engage with, you know, other people or even, you know, reading a book, or where you're just kind of staring there thinking, looking at the ceiling and all that entails. So like it's, you know, it's another bit of songwriting where it's like just a little part of a line, but it suggests so much. So I really do enjoy the contours of the lines, even if I'm not quite sure like what's happening overall. So yeah, another cool tune, really enjoyed that. I think that was Anyata on lead, am I right about that? Again, like, because you often hear both of them and they're sort of like intertwining with each other's voices, when one sort of takes the lead, I'm still like a little cautious. I feel like maybe, you know, there's been times where I've thought one in advance or like while I was listening and it turned out to be true. But yeah, it sounded like that was Anyata on lead. Let me know if I'm wrong. And yeah, ultimately, looking forward to the rest of the album. I do want to mention there is like a CD2 with like, you know, I think it's like 5 extra tracks, so presumably those are B-sides or other tunes that weren't on the album proper. So yeah, we'll go through everything again, you know, before we get to the end of this like main ABBA journey. You know, I'll make sure to circle back and try to get anything that I've missed. Ultimately, again, shout out to Adam, who's not only made this journey possible, but also has solo Anyata and Frida material. So yeah, we'll go through lots. And again, the people were talking about Benny and Bjorn. I'm not sure, like, as I sit here and say that, if that's something that we already have access to, but bottom line, we'll go through as much ABBA-related stuff as possible. So yeah, next time we'll be back for the next one on The Visitors. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.